how Prabhupada said, this is Karmastan. Yeah. Janmastan, he said, and Karmastan. Karmastan more important. So the most important thing all of us can do is try to understand the spiritual master's instruction and follow those instructions. And the more you do that, the more you'll understand your spiritual master is with you. Of course, both things are always there. Our philosophy, Achincha Beta Beta Tattva, simultaneously one and different. You're talking to the person who had more personal association than anyone with Srila Prabhupada. So I understand when he would say that, Vapu, Vani and Vapu. Vani most important, Vapu not so important. In Mayapur, it was 5 years ago. This time in Mayapur, I got to bathe some of the Panchatattva for the first time ever. I tried to do it 5 years ago. I went up to Pankajangri. And at that time, they were very, very strict. Only sannyasis were up there, and maybe somebody that gave a crore of rupees or something, they would let them in, because money talks. And I said, I want to bathe. It was not possible. No one is, only this 4 or 5 people are doing. And then he looked at me, he said, you're in the audience. He said, watching Abhishek is non-different from actually doing the Abhishek. I looked at him. I said, you're talking to the person that massaged Prabhupada's body. There's a difference. Believe me, there's a difference. So you're always going to feel that difference. I know Maharaj, very encouraging, treated everyone special. He's a devotee, a pure devotee of the Lord. This is what they do. They see everyone. It's just someone that should be serving Krishna. So that's what he did. I mentioned the other day at the program, you know, the few times I was with him, I feel I missed many opportunities to spend time with Maharaj. And of course, I've been living in Vrindavan for almost 5 years now, the last 5 years. So I did get to see him over his final months as he was here, when he was going to the temple. Then when it became too painful even to go to the temple. And we would talk sometimes by the Tamal tree in MVT as he would be walking back to his place. And he would tell me how pain was increasing to the point where he was so surrendered. Everything he did was ideal. Ideal. He traveled more and more as that time was approaching, and just to give his association, to do what he loved the most, chanting and encouraging his followers all the time. And I say I've seen a few people since being in Vrindavan. Living in Vrindavan is, you get to witness people leaving their bodies very often. And I guess that's going to increase. Myself, I'll be 73, I think, in a couple of months. I see my godbrothers that have left over the last few years. I see the ones, including myself, you can see, seems like they're also going to be leaving soon. But the way he did it was just very wonderful. I would come into the room, he just stopped everything, stopped eating, drinking, speaking, literally stopped moving. Now, I remember I mentioned how he was just lying flat out. Didn't want anybody to disturb his samadhi. He had no one squeezing his body here and there, doing this, asking this, that. Just wanted to be left for what he knew was his transition. So it was very wonderful. I told you, I saw him as each breath, they got further and further apart. But I never saw a struggle in him. He was very happy, very ready, just as Prabhupada would say. Not a big deal. leaving this body. We're all going to do it. Way back in, it was 1976, Prabhupada was in his room here, Krishna Balaram Mandir. There was a young girl, I believe she had leukemia, something like that. She was all at 12 years old. She was with her mother, and her mother brought her to Vrindavan to leave her body. Back in 1976, not even a teenager yet. So they went to see Srila Prabhupada one day, just as I would sometimes, just to get some mercy from Prabhupada, some compassionate words, some encouragement. So they came in before Prabhupada, and the mother explained, my daughter, she's going to leave her body very soon. Prabhupada said, told her, you chant Hare Krishna all the time. He didn't say, oh, you're so young, shouldn't be happening like. He said, at any moment, anyone can go. Today, tomorrow, any one of us can be gone. So the other day at the temple, which they're tearing down, the Guru, this big thing came. We saw it on video, this whole block of things. The Mataji walked by and just missed her like this much. 5-second difference, she would have been gone. Anything can happen at any time. Such a dangerous place. I guess I said I was going to talk about Vrindavan, but I never know what I'm going to talk about when I sit down. In 1975, I again been with Prabhupada now for 2 years. He sent myself and Brahmananda ahead to Hawaii. He sent me there for my health, because I had been in India for 6 months and I was sick 5.5 months. 2 weeks, right? You get 2 weeks before you'll get sick in India. Everybody gets sick. You come for a couple of weeks, you're going to get sick. So purification. Anyway, he sent us both ahead because there were troubles in the temple there. So then he came to Hawaii, Prabhupada came, so I had not been with him for a few weeks. So I was coming and just giving him massage in the evening. I had a wife and a child there, so my attention was going this way, that way. And then one evening I didn't show up. Myself and my godbrother, we were in a big car accident. Really, and this was 1975. We were driving in a 1950 Ford, which was a very old car that he had brought to Hawaii, which in those days, they're like a tank. Everything was metal, no plastic, anything. So because it was an old car, it actually saved our lives. He was driving, I was next to him in the passenger seat. A car went through a red light and hit us, the driver's side door, at about 50 miles an hour. The impact was so hard, my door flew open, and we both flew into the street, which is probably what saved our lives. And I remember the car spinning around, spinning around us. I saw the car coming, and I had two thoughts. My first thought was, this can't happen to me. Imagine, this is how quick I saw the car coming. I said, this can't happen. My next thought when it happened was I went back to some years before when I was playing football, and I got tackled by a guy who was twice my weight, and it was just like that. So the mind, you never know what's going to happen in your mind when this moment comes, a possible death. But they were the two things I remember. Then lying in the street, I remember my bag of groceries was all over the ground, and I'm in total shock, and I'm trying to pick it up, thinking, this cost $1, this cost $1, this cost $1. Anyway, we had to go to the hospital. It gave me compression fractures in my spine. The other devotee, he got severe whiplash. He wound up dying of throat cancer many years later. So then that night, of course, I didn't give Prabhupada a massage. I could hardly move myself. So then the next day I came into Prabhupada's room, and very pretty room he had in Hawaii. Windows on 3 sides, breezes, ocean breezes all the time, Hawaiian ocean breezes. So he said, what happened? Why weren't you here? Doing your service. So I told him. And he said, oh, he said, if not for Krishna, he said, Krishna saved you. He said, otherwise you would have died in that accident. We say that about everything, right? Something, well, Krishna saved me. Krishna did this, Krishna, but that's what he said. But I took it on that level. Yes, Krishna saved me. So then next day we're in Prabhupada's room. And I'm sitting by Prabhupada and the other devotees are in there. And he said, Sruta Kirti, he said, tell him about your accident. So I repeated the whole thing, described the accident and all. And Prabhupada's sitting there behind his desk listening. And then I finished and Prabhupada looked at them all. He said, Krishna saved him. Otherwise he would have died in that accident. The next day came. Same thing. Prabhupada said, tell them about your car accident. So I told him about the car accident. And again, Prabhupada said, Krishna saved Sruta Kirti. Otherwise he would have died in that accident. And it finally hit me that Krishna saved me. Otherwise I would have died in that accident. It took him 3 times to convince me, myself, Krishna saved me for whatever reason, Prabhupada's mercy, Krishna saved me. I've been saved many, many times in this life. I had a severe seizure 5 years ago, which I should have died in, but I didn't, for some reason or another. So everything we have to see like that. Whatever happens, it's Krishna's arrangement. And this process is so wonderful, but also very difficult. Because the Guru, what's his business? Is to teach you love for Krishna. And he teaches you that by your developing love for your spiritual master. Like when the devotee, Prabhupada said to the devotee, I love Krishna, you love me. Therefore you love Krishna. So they get so much time to do that, and then they leave. You know, I joined 1971. 6 years later, Prabhupada was gone. We all knew he's not leaving, not possible. He can't leave us. We're children. We don't know anything. And we didn't. Some of us thought maybe we were very advanced, but actually, all just children in devotional service. Whatever time he gave us, by Krishna's arrangement, that's what was there. But we all considered Prabhupada 100 years. He's going to be here for 100 years. What was he? 81. 81 years old. Yeah, by physical calculation, 81. Completely spiritual body. I don't know why I wanted to read this. I'm going to read this one thing, and then we can have some questions if any of you do. Because it's just such a wonderful understanding of who the spiritual master is. Maybe I won't find it. Yes, it did. Here it is. This was from a letter, 1967, by Srila Prabhupada. So that means he's been initiating people for 1 year. Any good soul who approaches me once for spiritual enlightenment is supposed to be depending on my responsibility to get him back to Krishna, back to home. The disciple may misunderstand a bona fide spiritual master being obliged to do so under pressure of Maya's influence. But a bona fide spiritual master never lets go a devotee once accepted. When a disciple misunderstands a bona fide spiritual master, the master regrets for his inability to protect the disciple. And sometimes he cries with tears in the eyes. So Maharaj is bona fide spiritual master in the disciplic succession. Every time I talk, I always say, proof. He's proof of Prabhupada's potency in ISKCON society. And if you want to feel that potency, which Prabhupada's disciples have, his grand disciples have, you have to follow the orders. And you have very clear instruction from Maharaj. His mission was no different than his guru and his guru. If it's different, then he's not even bona fide guru. But I know no one who is more qualified to say he understood Prabhupada's mission. That's why I was going to talk about Vrindavan. It took me 50 years to come and live in Vrindavan. I would always say I would visit a couple of weeks here, a couple of weeks every year, 2 weeks, something like that, the same thing. And then I would go away because I always got sick in Vrindavan. And I would say, I don't want to live in Vrindavan, I want to die in Vrindavan. So now I've been here 5 years. I figure if I just stay here, eventually I will die in Vrindavan. But this is a very important place on many levels. It's especially important. If you come to the classes, now it's very exciting. I see all my godbrothers lined up, hearing. Not just that they come to speak to everyone. They sit there, Prahladananda Maharaj and Kritu Prabhu, so many, I can't think of names right now. Of course, Panchagoda every day will be there. He always encourages me, chastises me. Got to be at the morning program. Got to set the example. Geez. When can I stop setting the example? Prabhupada said the same thing to his senior devotees because they would always not go to Mangalarti, not go to class, because they were senior, older, advanced. And Prabhupada said, you're very advanced, but you go set the example. That's what Prabhupada did himself. Maharaj did himself. They're setting the example. If you want the results, if you want to feel any comfort from your separation, you got to follow the program. Independently, it's not going to work. And that's what I see. 50 years, I finally realized what Prabhupada said so many times. Vrindavan is my home. Now, I'm not saying you all should move to Vrindavan at this time, but for some of it at this point, I realized Vrindavan is my home. I can go here, I can go there, but Prabhupada, he's here everywhere in Vrindavan. When you enter that temple sanctum, now it's difficult even to enter the temple. So much construction, destruction going on. Hopefully it will be very beautiful after a few years. More facility for everyone. But the place is blessed with Prabhupada. His footsteps everywhere. Your Guru Maharaj, he was temple president there, same thing. You want his blessings, come there, you can speak. Everything's personal. So much other, everything is personal. And you all have a personal relationship with your spiritual master. It doesn't end when the body ends. You know, I see he has instructions, he has books. He's giving you a wonderful example. I know he's given both men and ladies so much nice association in a way that sometimes people don't get it. So you've all been blessed, and you're continued to be blessed. And as year goes by, you'll never get over the fact that he left. I know it was the last Prabhupada's disappearance day was some months ago. Back in November, I gave a class. I could hardly get through the class. I became very emotional. What happens? And that's a good thing. But then other emotions are also there. This is devotees. Someday we'll understand that separation is the most ecstatic symptom. I keep reading that here and there. The gopis, the most ecstasy is that separation, feelings of separation. You actually become closer. And I say, I feel Prabhupada's presence. I feel right now. I could be massaging him 40 years ago and not feel as close as I do now. So it's a matter of realization, not physical closeness. It's a closeness of realization. And the only way you're going to get realization is by seva, service to your spiritual master. He becomes pleased, and you'll experience that. Yeah, you'll experience happiness, joy, following his instructions. Just as Prabhupada did. His godbrothers, some of them, one came to Prabhupada's room in Mayapur. And he said to Prabhupada, your godbrothers, they're criticizing you. You don't even stop at the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya to offer respects to your Guru Maharaj. You don't even stop. Prabhupada slammed his hand down. He said, I'm with my spiritual master every moment. He didn't have to make a show. He was following his instructions. Who had done? Who else had done what Prabhupada did? It was for him to do. It was left for him to do. And he did it, and he knew. In his humility, again, as Maharaj mentioned this morning, Prabhupada said something. He gave it to me. He would usually say he's given it to all of us. Like he said to me once, when he said how loving his father was. He said to me, perhaps my father knew. That's all he said. Then it's up to you to understand what that means. So Prabhupada was like that. Whenever he would say anything about himself in a very practical way, yeah, that's all you would get was just a few words, and then he would move on. He wouldn't let you respond to it, meditate on it. He would just move on. But the fact was, he did what he did. Kadamba Kanana Maharaj, what he did, he showed. He showed to his guru, to Srila Prabhupada, how much he was absorbed 24 hours a day. Not an easy thing. I'm still working, as Maharaj said this morning. I have a long way to go. But everything is there. Lots of services there. You know better than me Maharaj's mission for all of you. So just, as Prabhupada would say, the routine program. Just do the routine. And you'll always have the presence of your spiritual master. Chant your rounds, follow the principles, the morning program, and then do something. As we were saying the other, do something practical. Sometimes Prabhupada would joke when they were there, prayers. So do something practical. So, I thought it would be a good time. I don't know if anyone has any questions, however personal, about Guru Maharaj or how to manage nowadays, whatever it may be. Please ask. As Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj said, you've been blessed by the best. Huh? So you have much to be joyful about. No one would have an unkind word to say about Kadamba Kanana Maharaj. Only one can say things that are very positive.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, first of all, I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Last year when I was here in Vrindavan, I got a chance to associate with you and Mataji, and you signed your book for me, What's the Difficulty?
Mm-hmm.
And that time I was really struggling. But when I went back home to Kenya, that book it's amazing. And I think you should make part 2, part 3. It's an amazing book.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for writing that for us. Mm-hmm. It's really helpful. My question is, we're trying to serve. So Krishna can expand himself, and Guru Maharaj had like 983 or even more disciples, and he could expand himself and take care of all of us and enter into not only the disciples' heart but the families. So that's like almost 1,000 families he touched. But sometimes as his disciples, we're trying to serve, But it's so, like, devotee care is so difficult, where, like, you're trying to serve, trying to help, it's so difficult to make everyone happy. So how do we do that? How do we balance it and not go crazy and not compromise our own health and still remain the servants?
There's a saying, sometimes I use it in management: if you want to make everyone happy, sell ice cream. You're never going to make everyone happy. Even Prabhupada's instructions were there. People see him this way, they see him that way. But the business is to try. Our only business is trying. We're not in control of anything, you know. But we can make that endeavor. That's our business, is to make endeavors to serve. Results are up to Krishna. But mostly, you know, whether people are content or not, our thing is to come from a genuine place of wanting to help others. You know, I've traveled a lot over the years, not so much lately, but I did a lot in Eastern Europe, in Ukraine, and Russian festivals. And you can see a lot of things. You can see things in people's faces, you know. And sometimes, and with my wife, they would come up and say, my child's like this, my child, you know, we're talking about children that are like 10 years old, you know, so 8 years old, 12 years old. You know, I'm trying to engage them, making garlands and doing this and doing that. And at the time it was a Mekhala before she died. And she said, your only business, she said, is to love them and teach them by example, not try to force anything. Our business is never one of forcing, especially with children. Prabhupada never liked this forcing rising very early in the morning, trying to. So many of, you know, our initial Gurukula group, they won't chant japa because they were forced to chant when they're 5 years old, 6 years old. Prabhupada said we don't force anything on anyone, you know. So that's with everyone. I'll tell you, Prabhupada with me, he was so expert. He would preach to me. I mean, I'd walk into his room, just me, and he would say things to me. I never realized he was telling me what to do, because he would say it in this very detached manner, like he was just, you know, I happened to be the one that came in the room when he was thinking about something or talking. But he was always telling me what to do. But he was doing it in a way I had a choice to make. He never said, do this, because he knew who he was dealing with, you know. So he would just say things very detached. You know, I started writing the book, What is the Difficulty, 20 years after he left. I had a business, I had a family, youngsters, teenagers, and I was so dried up. I was living an hour away from a temple. You know, you have a business, that's all you take care of business. You're grahasta, it's what you do, you know. And somehow or other, the internet was there. So I got on, at that time it was called America Online, AOL. I was like the super big internet thing, and it'd take 5 minutes to get on. And I saw there was a Prabhupada group. It was a folder. I didn't even know what folders were online or anything, but I found this Prabhupada group, Prabhupada Katha. So I thought, oh, wonderful. I needed it as much as anyone. So I got on there, but all it was different devotees arguing about Ritvigism and now Sridhar Maharaj. We should all take shelter of Prabhupada's godbrother, Sridhar Maharaj. There was nothing about Prabhupada. I literally put on one sentence from a letter I had sent when I first became his servant. Prabhupada did this, Prabhupada said this, Prabhupada did this. So I had this letter. So each day I would put one sentence on. And just doing that one thing, my heart started opening up. It hadn't been for a long time. I felt so dried up. That's how my book came about, every day. And then that one sentences, they started to grow. And then I started getting a whole mailing list. I would mail my little story of the day to devotees all over the world. And it grew like that. And then I realized I'm writing a book. I had no qualification of anyone to write a book, and here I am. And then I felt so unqualified to write. And I thought, who am I? I'm going to do Satsaru Maharaj writing books, Jamuna. Who am I to write? But I continued, just because I'd come home from work and I literally would sit down at the computer. And that's why my book, as you know, it's just all these little stories. It's not it was never this big vision. I was way above anything I could do. But it was just little short stories. I would spend a half hour, an hour, 2 hours writing the story of the day. And I would only pick something that inspired me. I had a list of over 100. They were literally words. And those words connected to a certain story that I knew. And I would just come home and depending on my mood, I would, I'm going to say this because this enlivens me, But then I still felt unqualified. And then I had a dream. The short story is, it was in Atlantic City, which I lived in Philadelphia, which is 60 miles, like 100 kilometers from the ocean. Atlantic City, which big beach resort, where we would go as kids. Anyway, somehow or other I'm in Atlantic City, and I go into this room, and there's like a dozen devotees all sitting with Prabhupada taking prasadam. But I arrived a little late. So I sat down, and I have my thali in front of me, and I'm taking prasadam, and I'm feeling Prabhupada was there. Kirtanananda was there, the one who gave me to Prabhupada. He was there, and some others. But then they're all finished. And I realize I have to finish. You can't get up from your plate till every morsel of rice is gone. So they're all getting up to go on Harinam Sankirtan on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, right by the beach. But I have to finish, so I'm trying to finish, and they're already gone. Prabhupada's left, everyone's left. I'm finished. Then I go out the door, I have to find my shoes. Dreamlike it was. I finally find my shoes, and I'm running. Taking me forever. I'm getting to the boardwalk, and they're like a block ahead. I see them. The Harinam party's going on. Somebody's chanting. Prabhupada's walking with them on Sankirtan. And like, they're still far away, and I'm trying to get towards them. And Prabhupada stopped, and he turned around. He looked right at me, and he said the very famous words. He would say, "Come on." And he went like that. And as soon as he said that, I woke up. And then I thought I had his permission to write. That was my confirmation that I needed. He said, "Come on, join the group." So that's the Guru. All he's ever saying is, "Come on, join the party. There's a party going on." And sometimes we feel regret. Sometimes we feel lost. We could feel so many things. But we're all taking part in this Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan party. That's why our temple president, he's fanatic. He's at every Mangal Artik in the Samadhi, every Mangal Artik in the temple room, every Guru Puja, and he's got that kirtan. He made that happen the way it is, going around the temple. Even there's hundreds of people. Sometimes it takes a long time to squeeze through behind Radha Shyama Sundar there as you go under. But this is our life. This is what we do. And this is where our joy is. And this is where there's no separation in this kirtan party of Lord Chaitanya's. But I saw very clearly. Does that answer your question? Anyway, we all do what we can. Not a difficult thing. We don't have to. Prabhupada said, what can any of us do? Teeny weeny living entity. What are we going to do? Mahavishnu and millions of universes coming out. What can we do? But we try. That's all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you so much for your beautiful words. I especially love how you were describing us through realization that we feel more and more our Guru's presence.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you would be willing to describe more your two aspects of your personal experiences. The first, I was wondering if you could describe specific moments in your life when you really, really felt strongly Srila Prabhupada's presence and what that felt like, what you were doing. And the second aspect, I was just curious if you could describe, has there been, I love hearing about dreams when the spiritual master comes, so has there been any really other standout dreams, and have you felt that that was that really Srila Prabhupada coming to you, or sometimes I wonder if it's my own mind concocting the
Good
dream.
questions, yes.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
good questions. The first one, when I feel Prabhupada's presence, I feel it through all of you. You know, one thing I'll tell you frankly. We go to Bhagavatam class. Like now, it's about Rukmini, kidnapping of Rukmini and Rukma. So we've been on this for a month. So you hear this and you hear that and you hear again and again, and we hear about Govardhan Hill. We never get tired of it. Right? It's always fresh. It's always new. When I read Krishna book to Prabhupada, there were times Prabhupada just couldn't stop laughing. He was having so much fun hearing about Krishna and Balaram killing demons, and he was in ecstasy. So it's not like, you know, he'd been hearing that since he was born, these things. But there's no cessation of the ecstasy that's there. But sometimes, and it's why I don't give many classes here in the temple, although they'll ask me, because I live here. I can travel and speak, and everyone become very inspired. But sometimes when you live in a place, and they'll say, oh, I didn't hear that one before. You know, this other thing I heard this time, that time. And I'm thinking, what's the difference? You know, when I have the opportunity to share Srila Prabhupada with others, I never feel like, oh, I've said that thing before. It's that same principle is there. And that same principle will be there with your spiritual master. If you get to the point where you think, oh, I heard this before, you've got problems in your spiritual life, because this is our very essence of what we want to hear. It's speaking about the devotees. Krishna is more pleased when he hears these discussions about his devotees. I think is this. So, but that has an effect on me when I hear, oh, I heard that one before, you know. Oh, I won't be at your class today, I've heard it all. And I'm thinking, geez, I'm glad I don't think like that, because every time I say it to me, it literally brings Prabhupada for me. And I know it does for others by the reactions I see, you know, with the devotees. I'm very, very happy that I see when I give class, I never see anyone fall asleep. Maybe sometimes one or two people, but because they're eager to hear. You know, that's our thing. We speak. You know, you can speak from here, you can speak from here, and there's a big difference. Prabhupada spoke here, everywhere. But, and again, that's what we heard this morning. When Prabhupada spoke, you heard how much he loved Krishna. And I say the other thing I always hear was his urgency in trying to get everybody else that was in front of him to develop their love of Krishna. That's the business. It was so nice the other day when he said those 6 words. Chant Hare Krishna, preach Hare Krishna. So simple, but that's our business. So I can tell, but I can tell you, I know my life is, for some reason or another, I've been saved on various occasions, what could be very deadly situations, and somehow or other, I know I've been saved by my spiritual master in Krishna. As he said, it took him 3 times. And then he even wrote it in a purport while he was in Hawaii about the rat race, people driving around so fast. He put the purport in there about my accident, you know, was turned up in a purport. The fact that I'm here after all this time, all my struggles, somehow or other I can live here at Krishna Balaram Mandir, be engaged in service to the deities, to my spiritual master on so many levels. It's increased. I say I never imagined at this point in my life I would be living in Prabhupada's home, actually trying to do something, trying to keep his message, his mission intact. I never thought that I would have that opportunity. I don't know how long it will go on. I hope it goes like this the rest of my life. But I know each day it's a challenge. As Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness, difficult. Material world, impossible. So there are your options. And I know it. I've had the nicest place. Lived in Hawaii at the beach, right a block away from where Prabhupada lived, 1970, on the beach. Just a block away, so it was a tirtha. That's how I'm living by a tirtha. Not that I was living on the beach in Hawaii. I was living at a Prabhupada tirtha. But without seva for a devotee, none of it's satisfying. The only thing can satisfy us is service. As again, Prabhupada told me, service is love. Not you just, I miss Maharaj so much, I have so much love, I loved him and now he's gone. Well, then what are you doing to show your love? Not just words. It requires action. Krishna consciousness is an active principle. We have to always be doing something. That's what we learned. You learned from your Guru Maharaj. I learned from my spiritual master. So I hate sleep. Prabhupada said, whenever I go to take rest, I think I'm wasting my time. I hate to sleep. And then he'd lay down, pull the covers over his head, like everything was like he never said it. Like so peacefully. This is devotee. You do what you need to do. You do what you need to do all the time. Yes, you can. As far as dreams, I've been very fortunate. I've had dreams of Srila Prabhupada where I'm still his servant. I don't even recognize that he left. He can give me instructions. Once it was some room somewhere here in India where he was staying at some place, and he rang the bell. So I'm his servant. I walk and I offered obeisances, and he was leaning back on the cushions and his feet were out, and he had a cell phone. And he said, "What's your number?" He said, in case I need something. And as soon as he said it, I just woke up. Usually that's what will happen. He'll say one thing and I woke up because I'm so startled. And it's always 4 o'clock in the morning, right around 4 o'clock in the morning. So he's waking me up for Mangal Artik if I'm still sleeping. Somebody wrote me, one god sister wrote me, "Can you please give me his number? I really want to talk to him." She said. Another one said, "What kind of phone was it?" I said, "It was a Nokia. We're in India. It was a Nokia at the time." But yeah. But that was dreamlike. But actually, I had two very, in my opinion, Prabhupada appeared to me. And they were very much similar, the same. He's standing in front of me like 1974, beautiful, saffron cloth, garland on, and he's standing there. And this happened back in the 90s. So the first time it happened, of course, I just fell at his feet, Dandavat Pranam at his feet, and I'm literally holding his feet and crying into his feet because he's come. I got to see him. And I looked up, and he just looked down at me and said, "Don't worry, everything will be all right." And I woke up in tears. I told my wife. And then some years went by. And that was a time when I was writing as well. And I see all this, people talking about Ritvikism and this ism and this ism. And so that was the message. Don't worry, everything will be all right. Because I notice I always see things in very, very narrow, I don't see ahead very well. I just see what's in front of me, and I deal with that. That's why generally you'll see me smiling, because I'm not concerned about the future. Whatever comes will come. I can't stop it. I can't change it. It's going to come. So then the second time it happened, and again, just like the first time, and I know it's Prabhupada's come. I know he's gone. Usually in a dream, I don't know he's gone, but I know he's gone. And same thing, I just crying to see Prabhupada. And I looked up at him. And he looked at me and he said, "Take a stand." And then I woke up. So that was many years ago, almost 30 years ago. And I always think, what the stand is. Of course, again, see, Prabhupada, he gives instructions, but you have choices. He won't give super specific necessarily, he just gives us very broad. So I've always been trying to understand what it is to take a stand for Srila Prabhupada. Now here in Vrindavan, I understand more and more how important it is to take a stand, to follow Prabhupada's instructions, how important those instructions are. And the more we drift from that, then the more everything is diluted. So at least for me, at this time here in Vrindavan, I could see that my stand is just to try to preserve what Prabhupada gave us, not let it go too far away. Even we hear Prabhupada, he was very specific. He gave us instructions about kirtans, mangalarti, the tune to use, everything. And of course we see that's so many things go on. I said to the Swami next to me, because he was saying, they're chanting this, they're chanting that. I said, yeah, what will happen in 100 years? He said, Om Namo Shivaya. But that's a danger. We allow these things to creep in to what Prabhupada has given us, very specific. And he would say something again and again. But after 3 times, he wouldn't say it anymore. He could say, chant like this, dance like this. And devotees will say, well, Prabhupada, people were dancing like this in front of Prabhupada. But my response is, well, how many times is he supposed to correct you? If you don't listen, it becomes an offense. So gradually, he just wouldn't say anything. He'd just smile, and as we do, we do. But his instructions are very clear. There's a book out about the kirtan now. Oof, that's already making waves all around ISKCON. Why we don't need to follow his instructions. Right from Prabhupada's words. Prabhupada said like this, Prabhupada said like this. But still it's the same. Yeah, but he allowed it. He allowed so many things. It doesn't mean it was his instruction. It means that was his compassion, not to have you make bigger offense. That's what I observed. He would allow things to go on so you don't make offenses. But for those that want to be strict and follow, many instructions are there. And question? We'll let one of the men ask a question. We got to give them some time to and then you.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. It was so nice to hear your words about your memories with Prabhupada and also enthusing us about our relationship with our Guru Maharaj, with Kadamba Kanana Swami, even when he's not here. And I loved what you said about the love, that the love is action, love is service. Mm-hmm. And really I wanted to know, sometimes we are too sentimental and we can transform our love into an action. Some devotees, they are doing that so normally, but some devotees, they are lamenting and they have some feelings. They always think that, you know, they have so big love, but they don't do anything. Or sometimes we, I mean, and yeah, how to transform that love into action, even just with simple things like just chanting our rounds, following the instructions, following the 4 principles. Sometimes we can't do even that so strictly, and rising up early in the morning. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. It's just like when Prabhupada left, many people left because of that very principle, the Vapu. They were very attached. Prabhupada was very loving, very compassionate, very merciful, kind. You know, I was one of those people, just so much attached. I had so much personal association. That's why I said when in Mayapur, I started to tell you that time when the Abhishek was going on. So Pankajangvi said to me, there's no difference from doing the Abhishek and sitting in the audience and watching it. And I just looked at him and I said, you're talking to Prabhupada's servant who massaged his body every day. There's a difference. You know, for us, we can say there's no difference, but you got to be very advanced to understand there's no difference. For me, massaging Prabhupada's lotus feet, being in front of him, having you chastise you, and then all of a sudden gone, that's different. Is all we can do. I mean, of course, is we preach the philosophy, we try to set the example, and by following, gradually you'll see it's a fact. Just like I have Prabhupada's presence. Otherwise, how can I speak to you? See, if you think you're doing it yourself, you're already don't understand the philosophy at all. Our whole philosophy is everything is by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Punar Mushika Baba, huh? Prabhupada would tell that story. I heard that story so many times in front of Srila Prabhupada as he's sitting on the Vyasasan. At that time, myself, maybe many others, we didn't think it was us. We thought he was talking about different yogis, swamis, this person, that person. We didn't think it applied to us because we were serving Prabhupada. But to understand your ability to do anything, you have to have the mercy of your spiritual master. It's only through your spiritual master that you can do anything. So I may not understand a lot of things. I may not be very good on so many levels, but one thing I understand, if I can sit here and speak to you and say anything of value, it's because of Srila Prabhupada. So the more you embrace and understand that, the more you'll have the presence of your spiritual master in your life. So that's all we can do. We can set an example and we can share with others that this is the principle. And I know one little story. I was with Prabhupada the day he started translating Chaitanya Charitamrita. I say it was because of me he started translating Chaitanya Charitamrita. Some of you might know that story. That was how he ended, saying, service is love. Because I said I was massaging him. I was in so much Maya. Because I saw everyone as we arrived in New Dwarka, Los Angeles, everyone crying, laughing, jumping up and down. Because Prabhupada was in front of them. And I was with them 24 hours a day. I felt nothing. Just felt a big void. Even though I'd been with him for a year every day, I didn't feel love. I didn't feel happy. I was miserable this day. And I told Prabhupada as I was massaging him, behind him, massaging his back, I said, all the devotees, Prabhupada, they love you so much. I said, I don't feel anything. Imagine saying that. I was in such illusion that I said that to him. And why did I say it? Because I wanted him to comfort me. And what did he say? Nothing. He just let me continue to massage, and I thought, now I've exposed myself. I've exposed how much Maya I'm in. I don't even feel any love for you. The whole massage went on for an hour. He didn't say anything. I was waiting for him to pat me on the head, say, you're a very good boy. But he didn't do any of that. So now I'm thinking, not only do I have, now I'm exposed my Maya to Prabhupada. Then after massage, he went to bathe, and now I'm very busy. I have to set up, put the clothes on the bed for him, set up his desk with the chandan, open the mirror, little things, all these little things to make his life easier. Button 2 buttons on his kurta, so he only has 2 more to button because his head would fit through, like that. Attention to detail, that's a devotee. Now I'm serving him lunch, running back and forth with chapatis. Each chapati, offer obeisances, slide it onto his plate. Prabhupada pushes it down. He would eat 5, 6 chapatis. Still hasn't said anything to me. Then he takes a nap. Then finally I heard the bell ring. I go in his room. Now my mind is already on some other things by now. I offered obeisances. I sat up, and he's right in front of me. He looked at me. He said, do you like your service? I said, yes, Prabhupada, very much. He said, that's love. Service is love. He said, they may jump up and down, dancing, singing, but service is love. Not that we just make a show in front of everybody in the Mangal Artik, Guru Puja, and then the rest of the day, on the phone, talking to this person, No, service is love. You can say anything you want, but service is love. So in the midst of doing Chaitanya Charitamrita, I was in Prabhupada's room one day. It's the only instruction that I can recall. He said to me, you should become expert in Chaitanya Charitamrita and give classes on it. So to me, anything I do now, it's because of that blessing that he told me to become expert. All I know is whatever I speak, it's only by his mercy. Otherwise, you all know the story, huh? Again, you become a mouse. Is there anyone that doesn't know it? Everyone knows that's... There's the mouse. He's being chased by the cat. So he goes to the sadhu, the guru. Please bless me. I'm being chased by the mouse, by the cat. You make me a cat. Makes him a cat. Then he comes back later. I'm being chased by the dog. You turn me into a dog. So the guru says, all right. Then again he comes back. Now he's being chased by the tiger. So you please make me tiger. So the guru gives his blessing. You become a tiger. And as soon as he becomes tiger, he's looking. Guru says, oh, you want to eat me? And he says, again you become a mouse. Again. Because he thought he could replace the guru. Become better. Eat the guru. As we heard, don't be better Paramahamsa than your guru. Don't try to be more. Understand, we can do a little bit by his. He makes us cat, dog, tiger, whatever it may be. He gives us the ability. So I understand that all the time. If I speak, somebody's, oh, your book is so nice. I hear a lot. And it is. Because it's nothing but Prabhupada. I definitely, my book, it was just the very cream. It was the cream off the top. I didn't talk many details, this or that. It was all just what I felt for Srila Prabhupada, his mercy, his compassion. So that's what there. So that was his blessing. So I figure everything I do speak, it is Chaitanya Charitamrita, because Srila Prabhupada certainly is part of Chaitanya Charitamrita Leela. It's all about Lord Chaitanya's being spread all over the world. So that's how That's how I feel. He's given me that, and I always pray before I ever speak, please give me something to say. Prabhupada called me into his room at different times. Once it was in Mayapur, after his breakfast. I went in. He said, "Did you record class this morning?" I said, "Yes, Prabhupada." He said, "Oh, play it." He said, "I want to hear it." He said it was a very good class. He didn't say it was him giving the class. It was Krishna speaking through him. See, this is how devotees, he wanted to hear it. Because he didn't even know what it was he was saying, you know. That's always me. I go back, my wife will say, "What did you say?" I'll say, "I don't know. I don't remember." I can't remember. And sometimes I remember different things I say, but we just were always dependent on the mercy of the Guru. So yes, you can say so many words, but actions, right? Janmastan, Karmastan. It's the actions that set us apart, our activities. And Prabhupada was group activities, helping the mission. So with that one word, he gave you all your lifetime duty. You got the mission. If you're helping out in the mission, you're connected. That's your connection. And sometimes you'll feel that satisfaction, that happiness. Otherwise you won't. You know, you'll just feel regret, separation, but you won't feel it in a happy way. You'll feel it in a different way. You'll feel loss. There's no loss, it's the training. He teaches you how to love Krishna by developing love for him. Like when the devotee said at that class, "Did Prabhupada treat anyone special?" I thought, it didn't take me long. I said, "Yes, everyone. We're all special." So that makes you no more special than the next person, because everyone is special. Any other? Hare Krishna.
Aribo? Shall I give the mic or can I say the question?
Oh.
Sorry. Thank you for your inspiring words. When we talk about action, Guru Maharaj often said, or at multiple occasions, that he hoped us not to be mediocre. He wanted us to do something unique and to make our life into a beautiful offering for Krishna, and preferably do something big. And he also...
He didn't ask a lot, huh?
No.
Unique and big.
Yeah. And so when we look at him, he did that as well.
Yes.
And one quality that he had in that pursuit was to be bold.
Yeah.
And that is something I think Prabhupada inspired him, and I also see you and your god brothers having that same quality. So I was wondering, how can we be bold for the mission of Guru Maharaj?
You can ask my wife. She's quite bold. Yes. Especially in our society, especially in India, especially in Vrindavan, for a woman to be bold is not an easy thing. She's fought against so many obstacles to develop an entire department, the deity care department, that didn't exist before we came here. She now has sometimes a dozen up to 20 people making jewelry, polishing silver. All the ladies, it's all ladies doing it. But it never existed. But she put up with a lot of resistance, a lot of dirty looks by others, because she was just a woman, just like yourself, a young woman. And how to get that boldness? Also through the spiritual master. He gives you, we know if an instruction is there, the ability to follow that instruction comes with it. So you have to be convinced of that in order to carry out that instruction. I know particularly because you asked a question, I see in the West now we have a temple president in Alachua is a woman, temple president in Washington, D.C. is a woman, temple president in Hawaii is a woman, temple president at the Manor is a woman. So there's no there's no question that all of us can do something big. That's big. Being a temple president now, a very difficult task. It was difficult when Prabhupada was here, when we all wanted to follow cent per cent. Now so many excuses people have. So many different gurus are there. So many things are there that can get in the way. But as Prabhupada said, when somebody said stumbling blocks, you know that letter one devotee sent way back when to Srila Prabhupada, I have so many stumbling blocks. Such a nice phrase in my Krishna consciousness, in my spiritual life. So of course Prabhupada answered is, what did he say? There are no stumbling blocks. He said, and if there are any, he said, I kick them away, all the stumbling blocks. So everything comes from our own faith. And if we can't do something, we have to consider it as our own lack of faith in the spiritual master's ability to give it. Again, I can tell you, I have a lot of service in Vrindavan. I never imagined at this point in my life, at this age, I would be on an executive committee of the temple board. I would be on a committee for the deity worship, the standards of deity, all these things I'm doing, which I would never imagine could happen. But with the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, anything is possible. So with the blessings of the spiritual master, he knew that. Look what he did. He never thought, I can't do this. This is beyond me. So it's our own understanding. It comes through the Guru. It's not me doing. It's his giving me the ability to do. If you keep that in the forefront, me, I'm no one. I'm nobody. I knew that. I always knew that when I was with Prabhupada, because everyone else around me had been devotee for 10 years, 5 years. I was with Prabhupada after a year. I was his servant. So everybody I saw, GBCs, sannyasis, temple president, big book distributor, they were all big devotees. And I was always this little person that somehow or other, I was in the thick of it. I was in the thick of everything right there. But somehow I was doing it by Prabhupada's mercy. And by his compassion, I was inspired to do it. So you also have that. You have the order, you have mercy, you have compassion. There are no obstacles, no stumbling blocks. Kick them away. You see these things, we all have things like this, right? We got the... When Vishal, you heard the story about Vishal, was it yesterday, the day before? Srila Prabhupada, Savior of the whole world, and chanting all these, day after day. And finally, the one day Prabhupada said, do something practical. Not just talk. So that was Prabhupada. He empowered us to do something practical. We all have that. And that's what's wanted. One person, Prabhupada said, one person can change the world. One person. So we see that example again and again. So you should feel you can all be empowered. Just understand where that power comes from. It's not my own endeavor. So Vishal went in, he had one of these around his neck. Some astrologer, he went to an astrologer. And the astrologer told him he had an afflicted Rahu. So he paid some money, his astrologer gave him some things to put inside the thing. This has Nrsingadev's fingernails in it from Mayapur. That's what's in here. Last time I went to Mayapur, Jananivas gave both my wife and I, because we feel very desperate, we need protection here in Vrindavan. He gave us his tooth. He gave us each a tooth from Lord Nrsingadev. So that's what we want. We want that kind of protection. Otherwise, Vishal said, oh, astrologer has given me this, and he put some, little mantra things in there, a piece of paper with mantras written on. And Prabhupada looked at him. He said, kick away thousands of Rahus. Devotee's not bothered. This person's going to curse me. Go on with your curses. I just chant Hare Krishna. Whatever happens, it's going to come my way. I can't prevent it. In the meantime, I just want to try to do a little service. That's our prayer. Just want to do a little service. Whatever comes my way, comes my way. But we pray. We talk to. Here in Vrindavan, Prabhupada said, you go to Balaram. Tell him, my dear Lord, I have a problem. You fix it. Right? You're strong, Bala. You're strong. You can fix it. I'm taking my problem to you. I'm leaving it at your feet. Not my problem anymore. That's how a devotee thinks. Not my problem. I'm not going to meditate on this anymore. I give it to you. I just want to serve your lotus feet. This is a devotee's attitude. Prabhupada told me, if Krishna gives us a bed, we sleep in the bed. If he doesn't give us a bed, we sleep on the floor. How far do we have to go to think like that? And Prabhupada was like that. He didn't ask for servants. When the servant left, he didn't say, all right, hey, my servant just left, went this way, that way. Who's going to be my next servant? Who's going to massage me? Who's going to cook for me? Whatever happened. I'm too busy doing service to worry about such things.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Sruta Kirti prabhu. My question is, our Guru Maharaj didn't necessarily make his exalted position clear during his time here, and sometimes people have misunderstood him. And what does maybe you could tell us something about, as you do about Prabhupada, automatically, as what to do as disciples, especially now. One would have thought that there's no more, doubts, but sometimes still there are, devotees may consider him controversial or something like that. And what is the disciples' response and like that?
I don't know what you're specifically talking about as far as controversy, but with Prabhupada let's talk about exalted position. No more exalted position in anyone. We read in the Shastra what Srila Prabhupada his contribution is just, who could fathom what Prabhupada did? At one point in 76, Hari Sari and Hari Kesh, they went up to Prabhupada here in his room and said, Prabhupada, we would like to do proper autobiography. You can, every day we'll come in, we can sit for half hour, an hour, and you can describe the details of your life from your birth on. And Prabhupada said, okay. And then he talked to him like for half an hour that day. Then it never happened again. All Prabhupada ever did was give us Krishna. That's for us, like some of his disciples, we think even sometimes, we chant Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada. I know we go inside the Samadhi sometime. There was one day, one of my godbrothers, all he did, going around and around 3 times or something, was Jaya Prabhupada. And some people would say, well, wait, what are you doing that? See? Because Prabhupada always said, just chant Hare Krishna. That was the instruction. Here in Vrindavan, you go outside, to get the rickshaw, guy will say, Radhe, Radhe. Prabhupada never said Radhe, Radhe. He would always respond, Hare Krishna. So that was his mission. That's all he wanted us to do, was develop our love of Krishna. That's his greatness. What your Guru Maharaj did. His service, that is his very essence, his very greatness. But is all anyone, devotee, is going to do is direct you to Krishna. Our business is to understand, just like now, how many books are there out by Srila Prabhupada's disciples? Probably more than a dozen. Different disciples have written things, some little ones, some bigger ones. Hari Sari has 6 different books. The Alamrita is, 4 or 5 volumes. So so much writing is there. So that's your business to enliven each other, to show your spiritual master in the best possible way. Controversy must be there. It's always there. And sometimes what's the word? Contradictions are there. You know, Prabhupada could say one thing to one person because it's personal. One thing I learned with Srila Prabhupada was when he was on the Vyasasan, you only heard absolute truth. That was it. From the Shastra, from the Bhagavatam, from the Gita. But if you went into his room with a difficulty, he would do whatever it took to get you back on the path, to get you engaged in some service. So it was a very different. Like I said, I saw two Prabhupads. The one on the Vyasasan preaching, and the one sitting in his room, the most compassionate person. Like in New York, when that devotee came up by accident, going to Govinda's restaurant in New York. He was Bloop devotee, Bloop sannyasi, long hair, beard, not following any principles, eating meat, taking intoxication, everything. But he liked prasadam because it was a good deal. It was inexpensive and tasty. So the day Prabhupada came to the temple, he was in front of the temple. Kirtan's going on. He was going into the restaurant, and he said, "Why is everybody here?" And, "Well, Prabhupada's coming." He said, "Oh, I just came to eat." Wasn't even interested. He was saying Prabhupada ruined his life. He said, "I could have been a big rock star. You know, I could play the guitar and sing, but I became a Hare Krishna. I wasted all my 20s in the temple." So he was actually upset. He was blaspheming Prabhupada, took away his whole life. No one would talk to him because he was offensive. Well, one Mataji would talk to him. She had a little compassion in her heart. So when he would come to eat, she'd sit with him, talk a little bit. No one else would go near him. Because you should kill this person. Run away or kill him. They're your options, right? And according to Shastra, someone's offending your devotee, your spiritual master. They're your choices. You either defeat him, you go away, or you kill them. But she talked to him. So this morning Prabhupada comes. As he's getting out of the car, this woman's there, and this devotee or fallen devotee is right beside her. The other devotees are seeing what's happening. You know, Prabhupada opens the door, he gets out of the car. And Prabhupada saw this disciple with his long hair, big bushy hair, beard. And he walked right up to him. The exact thing no one wanted to see. Walked right up to him and said, "Will you cook for me while I'm here?" Oh, God, they couldn't believe it. The guy's eating meat, taking intoxication. He's not following one principle. Maybe no gambling he was following. I never understood that one so much. Frivolous sports, you know, that's there. So anyway, as he says it, this sannyasi, Prabhupada, you know, he eats meat. And he's blaspheming you. He's offensive. He's whispering in the Prabhupada's ear. And Prabhupada looked at him again, this devotee said, "Will you cook for me while I'm here?" He had been Prabhupada's servant. He cooked for him before. So again, Prabhupada said, "Will you cook for me while I'm here?" And he finally, "Yes, Prabhupada, I'll cook for you." Prabhupada, very nice. And then he walked on. So each day while Prabhupada was there, 3-4 days, he cooked for Prabhupada. And who assisted him? That devotee lady. The only one that ever spoke to him was engaged in cooking for Prabhupada. So this was the Prabhupada that I knew. Wasn't the one on the Vyasasan. I knew him too, but he was very heavy. I liked the one in his room. He was very kind to me all the time, so merciful to me. I liked that Prabhupada. That's the one I knew, and that's why I'm here, because I know that Prabhupada. So that's what I try to do in my whatever classes I give and travel, is to explain to everyone how wonderful that Prabhupada is. So he's also there, because he's also following that process as a devotee. Very kind. But you gotta put in your side. You gotta put in the endeavor. Then everything will come. Hare Krishna. Yes. Some of you I recognized from Switzerland when I was there some months ago, right? Some of you were there at that festival in Switzerland? No?
Yeah, Gokula.
Yes.
I read this statement by one servant of Srila Prabhupada, or former servant. He said that he realized that not just him or the other direct servants of Prabhupada are the only servants of Prabhupada, but that everybody is a direct servant of Prabhupada. I don't remember if it was you who said it, and if not, could you speak on this, please?
Yes.
If it was you?
One involved me, yes. It was one time in Australia, probably other times. In Australia, we were in Perth, Australia, staying at a cottage that belonged to the parents of one devotee boy, brahmachari, young brahmachari at the time, Ganesh. And there was a pool in the backyard. This was in Perth, which is a beach town. You know, it's right on the beach. So Prabhupada, after massage, he would bathe in the swimming pool. He would actually bathe in the swimming pool. And me, being a Westerner, American, and growing up by Delaware River and going to the ocean all the time, the Atlantic Ocean in the summertime, like water a lot, like swimming a lot. So when Prabhupada would, after his lunch, Prabhupada would take a nap, so I would go swimming in the pool, do some laps in the pool, you know, have fun in the water. So one of those times, Prabhupada was ringing his bell for his servant. So of course, I didn't hear it. I'm in the swimming pool. Swimming in the, from the Abhishek, the Charnamrita. The whole pool was Charnamrita, so I was swimming in the Charnamrita. And so it was Ganesh told the story, because finally he answered the bell. And he went in the room, offered obeisances, and yes, and Prabhupada said, you know, he said, well, Prabhupada, your servant's in swimming in the pool, trying to give me a little dig, you know. This is what we would do, you know. We do that. That's not a transcendental, I don't think it's transcendental. It's pretty mundane when, you know, you try to lift yourself up over others by saying, you know, well, he's swimming in the pool, Prabhupada, your servant. Prabhupada said, everyone is my servant. Not just Sruta Kirti's servant, you're all servant. So this is it. And everything is personal. In Los Angeles, twice. Once Prabhupada was walking up the stairs to his room, and there was a bead bag hanging on a doorknob. And Prabhupada's walking up, and he turned to me, he said, whose beads are crying there on that doorknob? Crying. And another day, same thing, walking up, and there was a plate of prasadam just sitting there. No one, just the plate sitting there. And Prabhupada walked up, he said, whose plate of prasadam is crying there on the table? You see, nothing is impersonal. This is the very thing Prabhupada came to show us. This is when we offer obeisances. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachoni. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. Everything is personal. Everything we do is personal. All your service is personal service. It's not an impersonal service. Kirtanananda, when I was Prabhupada's servant, one of the reasons he thought Sruta Kirti be Prabhupada's servant, I can send letters to Sruta Kirti, ask questions to Prabhupada. See, that was one of his thoughts. And that's what he did. One time he wrote me, you know, when we're offering to the deities, when we're offering the incense, offering the ghee lamp, he said, what should our meditation be? You know, what should we be thinking? Prabhupada said, what meditation? You're offering incense to the Lord. You're offering the ghee lamp to the Lord. You're bathing the Lord, drying. There's no question of what I should meditate on. That's what you're doing. Not a ritual. Not just ringing bells for the sake of ringing. No, these things aren't rituals. It's spiritual reality. It's personal. And again, he wrote, you know, should we do arati to the cows? New Vrindavan, cows. Prabhupada said no. He said they're cows. He said brush them. Polish their hooves if you want to do something nice. They're cows. So we have to use our intelligence, common sense. We offer arti to the Lord, to the Lord's devotees, to the Guru, not to the cows. They don't need your arti. Give them an apple, they'll be very happy. Give them a carrot, they'll be in ecstasy. That's what you want to do. So we do everything in a practical way. But practically everything is personal. Everything when you're chanting, personal. The Lord's right there. You know the shortest japa retreats. Prabhupada gave the shortest japa retreats. Many times. Devotees would say, I heard it so many times. Prabhupada, when I'm chanting my rounds, what should I think about? How to control the mind? How do I control the mind when I'm chanting? Prabhupada said there's no question of mind. You chant with the tongue, you hear with the ears. This is just what he did. I saw him do it again and again. Everything in between doesn't matter. It's his mind. Chant with the tongue, you hear with the ears. They said shortest japa retreat ever. That's all you need to know. There's nothing wrong with all these retreats. But sometimes people will say, they're told, do this, think like this. It's just more complication in your mind. Just hear the name. That's your only business when you chant, is to hear. Chant with the tongue, hear with the ear. It's so simple. Prabhupada say, easy for the simple, difficult for the crooked. We want to complicate things. We want to make things. It's not complicated. The process isn't complicated. Nothing's complicated. You cook for Krishna. We speak about Krishna. It's a very simple process. We dance for Krishna. We sleep for Krishna. We eat for Krishna. Krishna's, that's the focus. This is shown by all great devotees. Just work for Krishna. Does that make sense? Does that answer? Everything personal. And no one has a monopoly on it. Everyone has the same opportunity. It's not special for someone. He's special. Everyone's special. Anything else? You're all special. I felt, I met the devotee. Where is he? I saw him on the, I saw him the other day. I was leaving Panchagodas. I said, if you want, I said, I can speak with the devotees. Not that I have anything special, but I just wanted to have your association because I know Maharaj has many wonderful disciples. So I wanted to get your company and see what was going on here. But just know he's always here. As soon as you think he's gone, then it means you all these years you don't understand. Never gone. Although pain is there. Can't deny it. I still feel it. 47 years later. I feel regret. I could have done like this. I should have done like this. I should have never left his personal service. I thought in a few years I could go back. Not one moment will you get back. And from this point, not one moment you can get back. So take advantage of what you have. Serve your spiritual master nicely. Because time goes like that. and it doesn't go backwards. Told you, Prabhupada told me I'll be intelligent when I'm 80. He yelled at me because I knocked over the bottle of mustard oil, didn't put the lid on it. Oh man, you fool, you'll be intelligent when you're 80. No, it was mustard oil. It was just cheap mustard oil. He said, go get a Katori. I ran out of the room. I don't even know if I offered obeisances, but I was so upset. He was so angry at Bhaktivedanta Manor. I went next door. I was cooking in a closet. That was my kitchen, right next to his room. A literally 1 meter by 2 meter closet. That was my kitchen. I did all kinds of crazy circumstances. I ran in, I got a cup, I came back, and he just said, do what I'm doing. And he stuck his hand in the oil on the floor, wooden polished floor, and started scraping it into the cup. So now I'm doing as he's doing. This is our business. Do as I'm doing. Again, he said the same thing. Follow me. So now he's showing me very practically. He's scraping it, I'm scraping it. And we got all the oil off the floor just by putting our hands in and scraping it into the cup. And then he looked at me. He said, now use that oil to massage me. Do you know how I felt when he said that? I was going to use the oil off of the floor to massage him. So now I thought, not only is he angry, now we call adding insult to injury. Now he's saying, use this oil to massage me, because he didn't waste one drop of anything. So now I continued to massage, and there's little, I'm massaging, I pick off little pieces of dust and stuff as I'm massaging his arms and his legs and his feet. And he's just sitting there. And I just felt like the whole room, like just one big dark cloud in the room. I've been with him a year. And I'm thinking, what can I say? I never thought of saying I'm sorry. I grew up, never thought, is all I had to do was say, I'm Prabhupada, I'm sorry, I would never let that happen again. But I didn't say that. I had to completely turn it around somehow. I was with Prabhupada a long time, and I'm thinking what to say. I would think this way, that way. If I say this, he might say this. Then what do I say? I had all kinds of, this is my mind how it works. So finally I'm at his feet, the end of the massage. That's the last thing I massaged was his lotus feet. And I'm in front of his feet. Imagine, he said, you fool, you'll be intelligent when you're 80. And it just kept going through my head. So finally, I'm massaging his feet. I said, Prabhupada. I said, thank you, Prabhupada. I thought it would take a lot longer for me to become intelligent. Prabhupada started laughing. And laughing and laughing and laughing and slapping his leg. His whole body shaking. He was in total ecstasy. He was having... And he said, very good. He said, when we were young, he said, if one of our friends did something foolish, we'd say, you'll be intelligent when you're 80. He said, and I've used it on you. So I thanked him. I'm 72 and a half years old. I have another 7.5 years to become intelligent. I was 22 when he said it. Imagine. 50 years ago he said it to me. 51 years ago. So I'm still here. So I have a few more years to go, and I don't know what's going to happen when I'm 80, but something's going to happen because Prabhupada said it. See, this is how we see the Guru. Whatever they say, that's gold. You can carve it in stone. It's forever. So I just have a few. Prabhupada thought it was very funny. So now I definitely know by the time I hit 80, I just have to live that long. So I try not to eat anything fried in oil and trying to keep it together. Hare Krishna. Go on. Here you can just shout. Go ahead.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Prabhu, it is said that spiritual master is as good as God. Spiritual master is as good as God.
Yes.
So when you were serving Srila Prabhupada, so when you were used to offer prasadam to Prabhupada, you were offering to Krishna and then offering to him, or you were directly?
That's one of the questions I get asked. And I say I cook everything, put it on the plate, and bring it in and offer it to him. I didn't say any prayers. I just offered. So, Prabhupada here in India, he was traveling on the train with a disciple. This was like 1970. So Prabhupada knew. He lived here for so many years, so he knew. So they stopped one place, Mathura. Prabhupada said, go buy kachoris from this particular stand. He cooks in ghee, he's Vaishnava like that. So you go buy the kachoris, because Prabhupada, we know, kachori mukhi. He liked kachoris, right? So the devotee buys the kachoris, comes back onto the train, wipes the table, water on the table, wipes the table down, takes the kachoris out of the bag, puts the kachoris down, and then he gets on his hands and knees. And Prabhupada says, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm offering the kachoris. Prabhupada said, I'm right here. Who am I supposed to offer to? Prabhupada. So that's what I did. I cooked for him. I'm always thinking I'm cooking for him. I wasn't cooking for me. Rice chapatis, dal, sabjis is not what I would have cooked pasta pizza if it was for me. So I'm cooking for him. Rolling out the chapatis, making sure they puffed up. Then I put it on the table and Prabhupada took prasadam. Only thing we can do is offer to the spiritual master. But personal servant is pujari. Only your deity can talk to you, he can move around. Not like the deity on the altar. He can also talk to you, but you have to be qualified. But the spiritual master is so kind, even you have no qualification, he'll talk to you, he'll chastise you, he'll tell you what to do, what not to do. It's considered, right? What are the two most dangerous services? Do you know? Pujari and personal servant. Because familiarity breeds contempt. One has to be very, very careful in both those services. I was fortunate because I always knew, still am, fallen, just this fallen person that gets a lot of mercy, and I continue to. And I saw Prabhupada was pure devotee. You could be around him 24 hours a day. There was nothing to see. Ooh, see? He's doing this. He tells us not to do it, but he's doing... No, everything he did, you should do. That's devotee. We're practicing to be devotees. That's our business. Once Prabhupada walked into the kitchen in Los Angeles, the headquarters, 1973, the headquarters of ISKCON, where people would go to get trained up as pujaris for the deities, Prabhupada's direct instructions. So he walked in, very nice kitchen in L.A. In Los Angeles, California, everything grows fruits, nice fruits, almonds. You can grow anything in California. San Joaquin Valley, it was called. And there was a colander, big red strawberries in the colander. So Prabhupada walks in and the Matajis, them brahmacharinis. We had a lot of brahmacharinis back then in the kitchen. So they're in the kitchen and Prabhupada takes strawberry. And he's like, what is this? And she says, oh, Prabhupada, it's strawberries. She said, Prabhupada, it's boga. He said, oh. He throws it in his mouth. In Krishna's kitchen. What do you think you're doing? All we can do is give to the spiritual master. Still to this day there's controversy on even doing artiks. You go from spiritual master up, or do you go from the deities down to the guru? There's battles all the time. All I know, I cooked and I gave it to Prabhupada. He didn't go Sarira Vijajal Chitendra, never said it on the airplane where everybody else is sitting. His material body is a lump of ignorance, all the senses, networks, path lead. Can you imagine saying that? People are, look, who are these crazy people? Where? Network paths leading to death. Sounds horrible. I'm supposed to eat this? You always have to know where you are. And use your common sense. On the airplane, Prabhupada just quietly chanted Hare Krishna. Sometimes at the airport, he knew Prabhupada right away. People would come up to him. One person came up to Prabhupada. You know, why do you shave your head? He turned to his secretary. He said, you talk to him. In other words, this is what he cares about? I'm not going to. Why should I waste my time talking to him? He said, you tell him. On the airplane going to Hawaii from Japan in 1975, Newsweek, Time magazine, picture in the front of women, hands up in the air, women's liberation. And there was a fire in front of them. They were burning their bras. Prabhupada's looking at it. He's looking at it. And Prabhupada's at the window, and next to him at the end was his Sanskrit editor. A woman, young woman, stewardess, young, pretty stewardess, the usual, walking down. Prabhupada pokes his Sanskrit editor, said, tell her she wants to be liberated. Tell her she can shave her head. And the devotees, Prabhupada keeps go ahead. He said, make a joke. He said, tell her. She wants to be liberated. Tell her, shave her head, she can be liberated. He couldn't even do it. He was afraid. So Prabhupada was very funny, very humorous. We know when the woman said, why do you shave your head? What did he say? Why do you shave your legs? He said, better keep a cool head and warm legs. That was his. He didn't mince words, Prabhupada. You know, he could say things. When they had the Rolls Royce, you're riding in a Rolls Royce. You know, your followers, they give you. He said, why Rolls Royce? Should be golden car. Never defensive. He would attack. Always offense. He would go on the offense. You say something, he would even go to the next level up. Why just Rolls Royce car? Could be chariot. Golden would be decked in jewels. Because they're trying to serve their spiritual master. Serving God, that's what Prabhupada is. Serving God. You have God, then you have serving God. That's the guru. So he passes everything up. That's what transparent means, right? Transparent means you don't take anything. Whatever is offered to you, to the guru, he immediately sends up to his spiritual master through the disciplic succession. He doesn't take anything for himself. And it also transparent coming down. He's hearing Shastra, he gives it complete without making any alterations. Otherwise it's not transparent. If you make adjustments, you delete things, you water it down, then the potency is gone. So that's most important. That transparency, that's everything for a devotee. Just Krishna. All right. Should we do one more? I know it's late, almost 1 o'clock.
Thank you. So we heard you say a couple of times today, and also Srila Jayadvaita Swami say that the key is always service. Service is the key to understanding and advancement. Is it so? Do you have anything more to say about that? This, it sounds like a very deep version of actions speak louder than words. Do you have any more sort of thoughts or realization? Yesterday we were talking about it, and we were saying that how it also it shows who you are. So you do your service, and you do your service in a sloppy sort of way, in a sort of a half-baked way. Well, then perhaps you are in a half-baked consciousness. You do your service excellent, then you're in good or excellent consciousness. Anything more you can say about that?
It's a gradual process. We keep endeavoring. And sometimes service is just speaking. Just like me, what do I do? At this age, not like I'm going to run around and, at least for me, just going up and down the stairs once is a chore at this point. So there'll come a time when your service is just talking. That is your action. So that can also be your service. But whatever that service is, you just have to put literally your heart and soul into it. If you're cooking, even if you have a family, you're cooking, but you're cooking for Krishna. We offer it to Krishna, so that meditation should be there. That standard should be there. One of the things that's gotten my wife in so much trouble was trying to raise the standard in the deity service. They're making jewelry. So they literally have spray bottles. If you touch, you're a pujari. Pujari, as soon as you touch anything other than what you're doing, Achman should be there. So it's, and best not even doing these things. So it's very much concentrating on what it is I'm doing. When you're on the altar, but if you're in the kitchen, that's also the altar. If you're in the pujari room, that's also non-different than the altar. So in all these places, one should be very focused on their service. When I was in the beginning, early on, when I brought Prabhupada Prasadam one day, and I took the plate away, and a few minutes later he rang the bell. He said, "You haven't washed the spot." He said, "You're Brahmin." So these things, not just that we hang a thread over our shoulder, hear a mantra, and it means you're a Brahmin. No, you have to act like a Brahmin. So all these things are important. You go into the bathroom, you're pujari, you shower before you go back on the altar. That's it. There's no question. Like I said, Maharaj, you put your tilak here, 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 here. Not, if nobody sees it, it doesn't matter. No, everything matters. When devotee, he didn't offer his obeisances. He stood there as Prabhupada was going on the morning walk. He was a young boy. Everyone offered obeisances. A young boy just stood there looking at Prabhupada, seeing pure devotee. And Prabhupada kept walking. He turned to me, he said, "That's the beginning of his fall down." One thing. That's the beginning. As soon as you become inattentive, you're either going to continue or you're going to clean it up. As much as I said, Prabhupada said, do something practical. When his Sanskrit editor, massaging Prabhupada, he came in 3-4 times. First time he offered obeisances. 2 minutes later he came in. They were kind of short obeisances. Maybe he said the mantra, maybe. Next time he came in, he just bowed his head and sat up. And Prabhupada looked at him. Said, "You offer obeisances." He said, "Not this hatchet." We see even in Mangal Arti, you see the group of us as we go. No, this hatchet thing so you can find your best spot in front of the deities. If you're going to offer obeisances, offer obeisances before the Lord. It's not sometimes it looks like a race. I don't know if it looks like what do you call that? They pass the baton, Looks like I have a race and get to the next altar, be the first one so I can get my prime spot there. There's a competition. No, you offer obeisances, means you do it. Before I go in, not always, I offer dandavats. I go to the samadhi, I offer pranam, dandavat pranams. Before Guru Puja, dandavat pranams. It's serious business. Otherwise, that's the beginning. It already shows you're inattentive. You're already in Maya. And the devotee said, "Prabhupada, sometimes I fall into Maya." You know that one? Yeah, everybody, you're always in Maya. Sometimes you fall into Krishna. This is us. So we want to fall into Krishna more and more and more. So this is a very wonderful place to do it. But wherever you are, fall into Krishna. Anywhere you are. And keep association. Take good association. Very, very important. Not solitary. Prabhupada didn't like his solitary business. Here in Vrindavan, you see a lot of solitary. Oh, I can't do. I'm in Radhakund. When did Prabhupada ever tell anyone to go to Radhakund and live? No. We got business to do. You have a mission. I don't think anyone ever said your mission is to go sit in Radhakund. You find that for me, and then, I can go do it. Otherwise, that's not the mission. Not the mission your Guru Maharaj knew, not the mission my Guru Maharaj gave me. No. Next life. You can worry about that. All right. One more? Okay. Yes.
Actually, I'm going to write one or several more books.
I can try. He said I want to write one or several more books. My first one took me almost 10 years. I had a lot of difficulty finishing it because I had to go through some painful processes, seeing my own shortcomings. The book got printed chronological order, but I didn't write it in a chronological way. I wrote it what made me happy. And some things I tried avoiding because they didn't make me happy, because I could see my shortcomings, my regrets in leaving Prabhupada. I didn't know how to deal with it. So now this is how I'm dealing with it. We just carry on. So all we can do is carry on, knowing we're all insignificant, but we all have the blessings of very wonderful, powerful devotees. So in that way we carry on. So I'll take that advice, and I hope I can do. I think about doing it. Even when I look at the book I wrote, I think I could have, like Maharaj said this morning, you see the same verse, but you speak differently. Realizations, they change. Hopefully, they become more and more realizations. So yes, thank you. All right.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Kadamba Kanana Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Krishna. One last question from Narayani.
Yes.
Would you take?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how this entered in her mind, but she asked me to ask you, do you know if Prabhupada, when he, did he being happy or smiling while he left this world?
There is a video. I wasn't personally there for it, but it goes way back to one photo. Once devotee, there's this photo of Prabhupada, and he looked very, very grave, serious. And the devotee said to Prabhupada, you look so serious, so concerned. And Prabhupada said, oh, he said, I was in ecstasy. So yes, his most ecstatic moments, you would not see smile. So many times I saw Prabhupada on the Vyasa go into ecstasy, but as all that was visible was him with his eyes closed. So there's different kinds of ecstasies. Like I said, I saw him laughing, whole body shaking, tears coming out of his eyes, ecstasy. One thing I know we say that this process is joyfully performed. Well, sometimes devotees will say, I'm doing my service, but I'm not happy. It doesn't mean you're always going to be happy. Prabhupada, the service is joyful, but it doesn't mean sometimes when he saw the Juhu property trying to be taken away from him, he wasn't happy. But he was joyfully doing his service, keeping it, doing everything possible to reclaim that property that was being taken away. So the part that's joyful is you're doing service. That is our joy. Whether you're happy, unhappy, whether it's 50 degrees out or, 0 degrees out and we're in the temple room here in Vrindavan, outside 4:30 in the morning, freezing. You may not be very happy, but being before the deities, we're joyful. So at the end, so many emotions are always there. Prabhupada knew he was leaving us. He knew we were untrained. We had so much more to learn. So certainly that feeling is also there. But also joyful knowing he gave Krishna to everyone in the world. That ecstasy I saw, Prabhupada traveling, seeing everywhere people were chanting Hare Krishna. Imagine the happiness he felt. Not that it's always there on the face, but imagine the happiness seeing he went to China, Japan, Hawaii, Los Angeles, Mexico City, Caracas, Venezuela, Iran, England, everywhere people are chanting Hare Krishna. And he did it. Imagine the joy Prabhupada experienced seeing in that course of 10 years. He changed the whole world. And that changes are going on continually because of one person, what he did. How wonderful is that? How inexplicable one person can do. And as we'll say, and as your Guru Maharaj said, any one person can do that. It's not limited. Prabhupada would say the same thing, I just need one moon, not so many stars. That's what it means. One person who understands the mission and has 100% faith that he can help spread that mission. That's our business. There's one story I'll tell you and then we'll finish. I know everyone's tired. I haven't eaten yet. I don't like to eat and then give class because your brain becomes, as soon as you eat, all the blood leaves your brain, it goes to your stomach. So I like to fast before classes. But, see, I already forgot what I was going to say. That quickly. Oh, it was on the airplane. On the aeroplane, when Prabhupada took his last trip to England. So he was not, his body was literally skin and bones. Nothing there. Hadn't eaten for weeks. But he flew to England thinking he's going to travel and preach. So on the airplane, he was lying down across the seats, 3-4 seats, and all those devotees were sitting on the floor because there were no other seats. And Prabhupada has those dark glasses on, lying there, and you know, his mouth open, drool's coming out of his mouth, breathing very heavy, very difficult. Yeah. Could hardly move. We wouldn't let him go Govardhan Parikrama. They said he'll die. His body's so weak. But he flew to England. So the plane stopped. The plane stopped in Dubai, and some people were getting off, some were getting on. Guru Kripa was there. So we went back, and Prabhupada, because other people were getting on, got Prabhupada had to help him sit up. And Prabhupada's sitting up, and Guru Kripa's feeling horrible. Just looking at, we all felt, what can we do? And that's what he said. He's, Prabhupada, is there anything I can do? Is there anything I can do? And Prabhupada looked at him and he smiled. He said, you can get me a 7-Up. 7-Up in airplanes was something Prabhupada did. So he said, so then Guru Kripa realized, we don't understand anything what the pure devotee's going through. It's described in first canto. He's unaffected by the modes of material nature. The pure devotee is unaffected. He's always on the spiritual platform. Doesn't relate to all these things going on in the material world. So unaffected. So Prabhupada's response was, yeah, get me a 7-Up. He couldn't even drink anything, but still he said like that. So they come from a different world. There's another thing, I'll read it to you one of these days. Prabhupada describes the spiritual body of the pure devotee. He's never even in the material world. Always in the spiritual platform. All right. Thank you all very, very much. When you go back to wherever you're going, just take your guru with you, take his instructions with you. Prabhupada told me, everything will be all right. It's all over in a flash. You're all going to be gone, just like you see all of us leaving. It happens very, very quickly. It's not such a long time. So take advantage. Your youthful bodies, whatever you have, to do some nice service for your spiritual master. And your future guaranteed. You'll be back. Prabhupada said we'll all be together again. ISKCON, in the spiritual world. He said all of his sincere followers will be there. Everyone except Mr. Nair, he said. Everyone will be there except Mr. Nair. So take advantage. Stay within Prabhupada's teachings, your guru's teachings. Everything's all right. Just use this one life. Stay true, whatever you need to do. Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprasana, nothing matters. Just do service. Okay? Okay. Hare Krishna. Bye.
His Grace Sruta Kirti prabhu ki